Did you know that 3 million Americans suffer from celiac disease? I bet most of you don't even know what that is. Well, this month is Celiac Awareness Month, and in honor of that, I'm going to teach you a little bit about what celiac disease is. Celiac disease is a genetic disorder that damages the small intestine and blocks nutrients from being absorbed into the body. It's caused when a person's digestive system is unable to absorb the protein gluten, which is found in wheat, barley, and rye. Celiac is also known as gluten intolerance. It's one of the most difficult diseases to diagnose because there are over 300 symptoms, and people can have as many as 1 from 10 to 10 of these symptoms. A close friend of mine suffered from minor symptoms for years before finally discovering she had inherited celiac disease from her dad. She told me about her symptoms and what celiac was. I had never heard of a gluten allergy, but was instantly curious because I myself had suffered from many of these symptoms without any idea what was causing them. As those who have celiac know, the only way to combat the disease is by following a strict gluten-free diet for the rest of your life. Last year, I did some extensive research and began an experiment to see if eating G-free would really help. Today, I'll help you recognize the symptoms of celiac, their varying effects, and teach you about living with the disease. And although I haven't actually been diagnosed, I'll tell you about my own personal G-free experience. Let's go more in depth about what celiac is. The inner lining of your intestine is covered with these tiny little hand-like protrusions called villi. The villi have smaller villi, like the fingers, called microvilli. These are responsible for absorbing nutrients into your bloodstream and sending those nutrients to the rest of your body. They're completely compacted together, so you have an entire intestinal wall covered with villi, and that means the more you have, the faster they can absorb nutrients. When someone has a gluten allergy, it causes the villi to swell. This pushes them closer together and means that some of them are no longer able to function due to being crowded out by the others. The ones that are crowded out tend to atrophy and sometimes even die, causing the body to have less nutrient-absorbing villi. The less villi you have, the less nutrients you get, and this is what causes celiac. An inability to absorb nutrients causes the first set of symptoms that we will discuss. The first one is failure to thrive. This happens when you have a loss of carbs. Most of the time, this is the one that they find in children because there's so many growth spurts that kids go through at such a young age that when they don't reach them, it becomes damaging to them in the long run. So if you have a child or know someone who has a child who is having trouble growing the first few years of their life, this could possibly be why, because their body is not getting enough carbs for them to gain weight. The second one is an iron deficiency, which causes anemia. Calcium and vitamin D will cause osteoporosis. And bacterial growth due to the food sitting in your intestine can cause bacterial infections and also cause less absorption into the body because the bacteria will also start to kill the villi as well. An overgrowth of bacteria can prevent weight loss due to lack of good fats being absorbed into the body that will actually help you lose weight. Other side effects include gastrointestinal bloating, gas, diarrhea, and constipation. Some people suffer puberty delay if they go undiagnosed with having celiac early in life, recurrent miscarriage or infertility, joint pain, migraines, headaches, irritability, and depression, and some suffer skin rashes and even tingling sensations and numbness in random parts of the body. Celiac has been related to certain controversial diseases, such as diabetes, thyroid disease, autism, Down syndrome, Turner syndrome, and intestinal cancer. Now, these diseases don't cause celiac, but sometimes because of the effects of the disease on the body, celiac will happen, and the person will just kind of start having symptoms of celiac because of the other effects of their disease. The one I want to talk about is autism because the gluten-free diet really makes a difference with people who have autism. But first, let's talk about the gluten-free diet. Eating G-free must be a lifelong commitment. As mentioned earlier, gluten is the protein that's found in wheat, barley, and rye. If your first thought is anything like mine, When I learned what it was, I thought, if I can't eat bread, that means no sandwiches or pasta, no more Olive Garden, no Subway. And then I learned even more. Gluten is found in many sauces, like soy sauce, so no more sushi, and sometimes even barbecue sauce. I live in Texas. Not eating barbecue is a sin. It just can't happen. And not to mention any desserts, chocolate cake, cookies, any of your favorite pies at Thanksgiving, no more. So what are the options? Well, luckily there's a lot these days, so it really didn't turn out to be that bad. Anything rice, potato, or corn based is okay. There's also almond and flaxseed flour available that you can make just about any pastry with. And all of these things used to be really difficult to find, but since celiac is becoming a more prevalent disease, you can actually find them usually at your local grocery stores. Celiac awareness is spreading thanks to people like Elizabeth Hasselbeck from The View, who happened to be diagnosed with celiac. She wrote a book called The G-Free Diet, a gluten-free survival guide, and in her book she has lots of ideas, recipes. She tells her story about being diagnosed and how difficult it was. But due to her, her celebrity and growing popularity, she's really gotten the word out, and now restaurants are offering gluten-free menus. Some of your favorite restaurants, like even Olive Garden, Pei Wei, they have gluten-free menus that you can ask for, so you can really start to go to any restaurant and feel comfortable eating. Betty Crocker just came out with a gluten-free cake mix line this year. Kellogg's has rice-based cereals, and Quaker Oats has a new line of gluten-free oatmeal. Grocery stores have entire aisles devoted to gluten-free foods these days, just depends on where you live. So you can now get anything from pizza dough, noodles, and even regular bread that are gluten-free. If you're on the go, vegetables and fruit are of course naturally gluten-free, and you'll never have to worry about eating any of them. The internet is a good tool when searching for G-free eating ideas. Websites, blogs, and even Facebook pages are devoted to celiac-friendly recipes. One of the best that I found is called celiachandbook.com. You can go online to this website and look at your area, and it will tell you what restaurants are available that offer gluten-free foods. And if you know of one that hasn't been posted, they'll allow you to post it on their website. So it might sound difficult, and it'll take a little bit more planning than your regular peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but it is possible to eat gluten-free. And definitely I think the benefits of eating this way and being healthy greatly outweigh the pain and discomfort that you feel if you have celiac or gluten intolerance. As an example of the benefits you can get, let's go back to autism for a minute. Autism is a developmental neurological disorder affecting 1 in every 500 children. Typically, autistic people have social and communicative issues. They generally have certain sensitivities to food, but this varies depending on the person with that disease. Dan Lake, a medical nutritionist in Maryland, who's also on the Maryland Legislative Assistant Board to make health issues, to talk about legal health issues, has found that opiates are released into the bloodstream when the GI tract is not properly functioning. So with people who have autism who already have communicative disorders, having those opiates released into their brain actually makes their social disabilities worse. Jenny McCarthy has a son who has autism, and she noticed after she changed his diet to gluten-free, within a matter of weeks, he was able to focus better, started talking like, not quite like a normal child would because he does have autism, but he was able to catch up a little bit, and he was noticeably calmer. So if these things, can help a child who has autism, think what they can do for someone who doesn't have that. I definitely feel like eating gluten-free is very good for those who have the celiac disease. It really does help regulate and help your body. Eating gluten-free can be trying though, especially for children. They don't get to enjoy simple birthday cake, for instance, anymore, and this difference can make them feel anxious and ostracized from their friends. According to a recent study, compliance with the G-free diet for children varies from 45 to 80% depending on what country you live in. So what makes the difference? First and foremost, awareness and having available resources. As I just discussed, being here in America today, awareness has really risen. So we have lots of options. Talk to a nutritionist. Teach your children about why they have to eat this way. And even if you're not a child, teach your family members, those that you're around, caregivers, why you're eating this way and what the benefits are. That way everyone can be on board and help support you. A child that has this disease who does not get proper nutrition will most likely suffer from other diseases later in life, like osteoporosis. So it's very important to catch this early in life and to help your child flourish throughout their life. Having family and friends on board is definitely important. You know, it will help you stick to your goal. Because the symptoms are sometimes rather unpleasant, talking about them can be pretty embarrassing. That's definitely how I felt when I started my experiment. It was, people asked me why I was doing it, and it was kind of embarrassing to say, well, you know, these are my symptoms, and they're not really things you normally talk about, but, you know, it's good to let your family know. My main symptom that I felt like I had was bacterial infections. I had, you know, 3 or 4 in 1 year, and I could never figure out why. It didn't seem like I was allergic to anything I ate, but I didn't know about the gluten allergy. And when you have bad bacterial infections, eating anything makes your stomach hurt. So it was really hard for me to figure out what it was that was going on. So when my friend told me about celiac disease and how she experienced everything that I was going through, I was shocked and decided I had to look into it. So after researching and finding out everything I just shared with you, I decided to go on the gluten-free diet and see if it really worked. So my daily eggs and toast breakfast became yogurts and fruit, lunch became salad, and dinner was full of rice, potatoes, and vegetables. I learned to make a flour-free cake that even my picky 3-year-old niece was willing to eat. So needless to say, after I learned what to look for, it wasn't that difficult. After 2 weeks, I was able to sleep better, which was a promising sign. 3 weeks, it was a good habit, and I didn't really have to think about it anymore. A little bit later, my stomach pain completely disappeared. And after 4 to 5 weeks, it seemed like I was able to just function normally, you know, go about my daily routines without having any pain, any, you know, bowel movement discomfort and things like that. So that was definitely very pleasing to me. These were small steps, but by the end of 2 months, I was hooked and I really felt like a completely new person. I'd lost about 5 pounds just from having a healthier digestive system and was able to fall asleep faster and for longer periods of time. In turn, this gave me more energy. I was able to focus better at work, and even my friends and family and people that I work with were able to tell a difference because they could just see that I was more alert and able to concentrate better. So I definitely believe that this gluten-free diet worked for me. I never went to the doctor because, like many Americans today, I don't have insurance, but I did a lot of research before committing to this diet. Tried to make informed decisions, and I researched things on websites like the Mayo Clinic, who are constantly doing research and updating their material so that you can have the best information that's out there. So although I haven't been diagnosed, please don't take my experiment as an invitation to try the G-free diet if you don't really need to. G-free diet has become a fad diet in Hollywood because of the rapid weight loss that it can cause. But our bodies do need those nutrients, especially if they can handle them. So sticking to this diet when you don't need to can actually be counterproductive and hazardous to your health. I completely support healthy eating and celiac awareness, so if you're interested in eating G-free and know you don't have celiac, please talk to a nutritionist before trying it. If you or someone you know has celiac, I really hope this information has helped renew your commitment to the G-free diet and raise your awareness of what celiac is and the stresses it can cause in your life. So although getting properly diagnosed is difficult, taking the care of the problem doesn't have to be anymore. Knowledge is power, and due to the growing awareness of celiac, there are more options when dining out and at the grocery store. If you think you have this disease but aren't sure, try going to celiaccentral.org, and there you'll find a short quiz that can answer some of your questions, and you can even print it out and take it to a doctor. If your symptoms are severe, talk to a doctor as soon as possible. It could save you years of discomfort, and you can start enjoying a healthy G-free life today. Thank you.